Can we bring it up a bit? Could you just raise it up a little bit? Thank you. Bring it up. Tap, 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 tap. Hey, how are you? Tap, 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 tap. Hey. How's my chair? Fine, fine, fine. Nice to see you around. Welcome back to Ghana. Hey, ta, ta, ta. This is my way to working out my quota. Ta, ta, ta. We good? Mr. Joe Addy, 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 Mr. Joe Addy's in the house. Thank you very much for inviting me here tonight to come join your A Creative Workshop. Good evening. How are you? Nice to meet you. Hello. How are you? Thank you. My name is Baby, and thank you very much. It's lovely to be here with you. I don't often do this, so I'm just, kind of talking to wear off my stage fright. All right. We all got stage fright. What do you mean? Hello. I'm seeing a lot of pretty faces. Everybody in the back over there, you doing okay? Show me some iron. That's it. See, it's easy to work out stage fright. Half the time I'm teaching it, so might as well get used to it. I'd like to spend a little moment with you because Mr. Joe Addo invited me to come and do a little number here. I got a few songs that talk about life, talk about inspiration, and talk about people. We got a lot of young people here in the crowd tonight who are looking for a beautiful future. We see your future's bright. Your future's bright, right? We're all in the creative energy here tonight. Some of these songs I'm going to sing you tonight, I'm going to sing only 3, by the way. I wrote about 5, 10, 15 years ago. And this one I wrote when I was inspired to come back to Ghana a few years ago. It's called Your House. I hope you like it. I sing it in English and I sing it in French. Who speaks French around here? Thank you. You know something? I think your house is nice. I've been here twice. These open doors, laid out floors, all fixed up for this invitation tonight. What a lovely surprise. It's really kind of you to have me standing right here by your side. Your windows are wide up, then I see. Your garden seems greener than other gardens I've been in. This enchanting, some fragrant perfume. In this beautiful haven, we're being received by you. Welcoming room. We're here relaxing. It's soothing. We're breathing and feeling at home. You know, I'm so charmed in a spell, and all I can tell is you're wishing me well. You know, and I love to be with you. How I love to be with you. I so love to be with you. I just love to be with you. can do while I'm with you tonight. You said you'd like me to sing. Is there anything you would like me to bring? While we're here relaxing, it's soothing. I'm breathing and feeling at home. Ah, I'm so charmed in a spell, and all I can tell is you're wishing me well. Oh yeah, and I love to be with you. How I love to be with you. I so love to. Want to give a clap? So we're musicians, huh? To the beat, let's go. Ba-da. Ta, 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 ta. We don't want to scream because this is a hotel, you know. We want to do our thing, you know. Make so much noise we'll bring the house down, you know. We don't want to think, who are those crazy people over there? Yeah. I just love to be with you. Come on, don't be shy. Okay, let's do it this way. Hang on. 2, 3, 4. I want you to say, I just love to be with you. Do you love to be with me? I just love to be with you. I just love to be with you.
I just love to be with you.
I said I want to
Love to be with you.
Oh yeah.
I just love to be with you.
Tell me you
I
want to.
just love to be with you.
Yeah.
I just love to be with you.
We got an artist here from Nigeria. We got a lot of artists here actually. We got Telemetry. We got Alfreda. We got Uncle Ben. We got Chin Chi, who's coming away from West Town. I just love to be with you. I just love to be with you. So we're gonna do a bit of French, yeah? Souriez rien, et c'est beaucoup. Souris pour rien, juste pour être bien. Sourire pour se cacher et de rien montrer. Sourire pour lutter, positiver et se sentir aimé. Sourire, c'est offrir un bouquet de fleurs, amour de son cœur, sans peur, sans raison. Sourire, c'est un grand ouais. Tu sais, l'amour est né un jour de printemps, un instant dans le vent. Oh, baby, 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 and I love to be with you. How I love to be with you. Yes, I love to be with you. We're loving this. How I love to be with you. Yes, I love to be with you. Thank you very much. How I love to be with you. I'm gonna fade out. Love to be with you. I so
as they say, asleep on the switch. Hello, hello, sorry about that. BB, thank you so much. And we'll be hearing more from BB later on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Sado, and with, with my friends, we created the Adventures in the Diaspora many years ago. This is a platform supported by Archi Africa, we're a group of um, people who promote culture and design within the African built space. So we've been doing it for 4 years, and the whole purpose of this really is to shine light on the creative African and let people know that in spite of what people say about Africa, there are incredible things going on in the creative realm. This evening, we are going to shine light on the new blood, GH, the new talent of Ghana. And we want to kind of explore if wealth and corporate Ghana is recognizing these talents and if they're supporting them. So we have an incredible group of young people who are going to share their life creative story with us. This event is made possible by two firms. Buffalo Blocks, Mr. Baba is here, is here, and Coral Paints. Are the Coral Paints full here? No, they are not. But these are two organizations who have supported us in the past. We created many years ago the Friends of the Museum, if you remember, and Coral Paints painted the entire National Museum for free. They had their own pages and everything. And we happen to have amongst us the chairman of the Friends of the Museum, Michelle McKinney-Hammond. Please, let's she's here today to say she's back on the block and going to push this agenda forward. So, Michelle, thanks for being with us this evening. Of course, we have to thank the Golden Tulip, who are co-partners in this whole endeavor. They make it happen. The hardworking staff service and the CEO, I mentioned Gilly, is actually one of the brainchilds of this gathering. But we are here today to support all the creative, energetic artists in our community. And I must say, how many of you were at the Echalewote Festival last weekend? I think, well, let's give them a big round of applause. It was fantastic. And I hope that next year we'll even make it better. I think it's the beginnings of what we all term the creative Accra. And there are a lot of organizations who are pushing for us to kind of come together and recognize that Accra is a creative place, and how can we create synergies to make it even better. And one of those people who's
I can tell you what she's saying. She's saying, welcome to everyone. And we do this for you. So we're really glad that you can come and enjoy these evenings with us. This is for you, has you in mind. When Joe told me about this concept of new blood, I said, hey, Joe, hold up. Does that make us old blood? Are we talking about premature retirement here? Then, Joe assured me that it's this clash of the old and the new that's creating the future. So tonight, I'm glad to present the future to you. We have a stellar evening, and I'm going to tell you that we just had dinner and I met the artists, and I asked them a simple question. What is the central idea that motivates your work? And what would you like the audience to appreciate about it? And Ibrahim Muhammad said, the central idea deals with art as an element within society, dealing with the most relevant questions. Like production, like work, and the exploitation of labor. It allows us to rethink and re-visualize our society from very subtle but critical positions. The process is very important, but form has implications. I don't pretend to understand all of this, but I think it means something. And that is the final outcome of the project. So Ibrahim Muhammad is a new generation of artists that is redefining what art can be, how it is exhibited. And if you were lucky enough to be at the Chalewote Festival, you saw an example of what he calls taking control of the space and expressing it in a new way. He uses commonplace materials such as jute bags imported by the Ghana Cocoa Board and repurposed by charcoal sellers, and then repurposed again and she started by saying, what motivates me? Everyday, mundane things. She makes the extraordinary out of the mundane. I'm inspired by nature. Nature has so much to offer. It's an unending pool of new. When they move on. I believe that truly leaves them with a long-lasting impression of the piece and of me. So, Constance Wanika, born in Accra, Constance grew up and was educated in the Gambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Accra Academy in Ghana. A diverse background has strongly influenced her outlook on life, art, and business. She studied for a Bachelor of Arts degree in sculpture at KNUST College of Arts in Kumasi. During this period, extraordinarily, she also undertook an apprenticeship as a carpenter. If you see Constance, the first thing that comes to mind is not carpenter. But she's also a deep thinker. And it's motivated her to establish Accents and Art Gallery Limited, the premier purveyor of the finest crafted, bespoke wrought iron furniture. Save your pennies, go buy some. In Ghana and arguably West Africa. So thank you very much, Constance. The last guy on the new blood about to retire as old blood trail is Michael Adumor. Did I get it right? And Michael's central idea is about being different, being original, being innovative, having fresh ideas, using architecture as an experience more than just a building. And then the emotion is how to deal with that and push the boundaries constantly and the unusual piece of material. So again, let me bring the flood. It's worth waiting for. Michael is an architectural designer and the design principal for design consultants. He went to America to study architecture at Howard University in Washington, D.C. and was then recruited into to by world-famous casino operator MGM Mirage to a member of Select Design Group to get Las Vegas, Nevada, a city renowned for fresh, innovative, and bold architecture. Michael then further sharpened his skills by working with other design firms, including the widely respected Hagley and Cannon. This offered him the opportunity to be part of some high-profile projects such as the Bellagio Hotel in Casino Las Vegas, the La Perla Casino in Panama, and an upmarket condominium product development on Broadway, New York City. So, Michael, thank you for bringing this experience to this meeting. I met Anita many, many years ago when she was in the middle of producing both an interview series and a baby. How was the baby now? There you go. Major production going on. Anita is a wonderful, if you've been watching Studio 53, multi-talented presenter, producer, oral narrator, entrepreneur, all-around good person, beautiful. She hosts live events for multinationals such as Briscoe, EcoBank Transnational. She had a first encounter with television at Metro TV in 1997. TV came to Ghana in the 60s, so you were rather late. With that square box, present everywhere. So the very next year, she started studying from 98 till 2006. She returned to Ghana in 2006 and began her career in television. So tonight, we know we're very, very good hands. New blood in the future will showcase that properly. Thank you for being here.
A fabulous life and having all this money, you know, and knowing only influential people. But the bottom line is, Michelle, you know the truth, right? When Joe called me, as a matter of fact, I met Joe when I was about 7 months pregnant as well. The beauty of meeting him was, at the time I was working for Studio 53, and we were doing an interview on his beautiful home that he built himself. Corner, every single wall, every single pillar was artistic. The reality was he wasn't just building a home, he was building a future, and he was building all this excitement about Africa right now. Even though it was 6 years ago, and Ghana has changed, and Africa has changed, it kind of spelled out how you should prepare for the future and not just worry that Africa or Ghana or West Africa is in this little bubble. Yes, I know people are, you know, always surprised that we do live in beautiful homes and that we do drive fancy cars. They wonder if we are friends with the animals and the monkeys and everything else, but that's okay. Ultimately, Joe told me a story, and that story was, and if you are lucky, I won't say you're blessed, because there are some fantastic people who have stayed in Ghana all their life, and I envy the richness of their creativity. But if you're lucky and you've lived around the world, and you finally come back home, you can implement this beautiful, rich, global, international feel and the environments that you come into contact with, the people you come into contact with, but ultimately is never to give up your true self. Some of us were trained in a variety of languages because some of our parents thought we would end up working for international organizations. My father, till this day, will always ask me, when are you going to get a real job? And I always say, Daddy, I'm very happy where I am. Even though my manager calls me once in a while to remind me to put 20 Ghana cedis in my account, because at the end of the month, bottom line, if you understand, right? We go after what we really love to do, and eventually, it'll pay off. In a few years, I'll be a millionaire. But for now, these guys over here are probably millionaires. Welcome to Ibrahim. Welcome to Constance. And welcome to Michael, who told me an interesting story about. Did I say it? No. Okay. If you pay me, I'll tell you. Not Harry, not your 2 Ghana cedis or 5 Ghana cedis. He said you're looking for $100. You know, we don't deal in Ghana cedis anymore. You know what I mean? But let's get serious for 1 minute. I'm sure that all of you here are here not just because you saw the fancy newspaper article or you saw, our posters around, etc. You're looking for some answers. Are you? Yeah. You're looking for some direction, correct? Amen. You're looking to be convinced that what you're doing is the right thing and that you need to give it time, correct? So tonight we are going to make sure that before you leave, even if you don't have all the answers, your intuition will tell you that you are in the right place. I'm glad that he talked about me starting television in 1997. I always say we're in the year 2014 and I am still undiscovered. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I mean, I am undiscovered. So what it does for me in my industry of arts, culture, and everything else is it gives me the drive. Keep on keeping on, because Ghana and Africa are just about to emerge. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll start off with Miss Constance. She doesn't look like a carpenter. Understand. But I'm going to ask all my panelists the first question. And that question will be, what convinced you that you were thing when probably all the odds were against you? So we're just going to go around the table and we're just going to start with this question. We'll start up with Constance, we go up to Michael, and then we'll end with Ibrahim. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, what convinced you that you were doing the right thing when you were doing it, even though all the odds were against you? 1, 2,
I think what motivates me all
and Nevada and Las Vegas, and what happens in Las Vegas does what? But surely, at a point in time, the odds were against you. And what made you tell yourself, this is what I love to do, and I'm sticking to it?
Okay, so interesting enough, the recession hit in 2008, so I had to move back to Ghana, and I decided to start a firm in architecture. So it was a little difficult, especially being that I didn't really grow up here. I was gone for a while, and a lot of people were not letting me in. But the passion for architecture and design, I know I've done it before, so it felt easy to be able to do it again. So after a while, people just accepted me for, okay, being this little different, weird architect. But I always believe that the work should speak for itself and not being the first.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
Yeah. Ibrahim, I'm sorry, when I heard your introduction, I was like, what? Do people understand you? Or it doesn't matter, they just have to look at your work and understand?
Not quite. I think it takes time,
yeah.
These things.
So, but you had any odds against you, possibly?
Yes, because people have not been exposed very much to certain art forms and practices. But it doesn't mean that they don't understand it. It's just a matter of time. For me, what kept me going was that I was looking at my work in response to like as a global citizen, because of other artists that I found inspiring that were not very known, but they had worked for a very long time and they were really good at what they were doing, whether they were really successful at it,
Right.
like in terms of how we define success. But they still did very well and they're still very relevant. So I think the relevance kept me pushing my ideas.
You know, the people in the banking sector and in the insurance sector in Ghana currently are almost seen to be those that make the money and that at the end of the month they can afford the rent. Financially.
Interesting enough, when I was in university, I used to work in a carpentry workshop.
When you were in university, you worked in carpentry
Yeah.
workshop.
So every holiday, I would go back. So for 5 years, I gained so while I was in school, I was driven into business, while a lot of my colleagues pretty much didn't know what they were doing. So the bulk of my mates ended up in the banking sector, and I was the only one that went to industry. And as we speak, I'm pretty much the only one doing what I'm
You're
doing.
still the only one doing what you're doing in the field that you've chosen.
Yeah.
No competitors. Michael.
So what's the question again?
The question is essentially when you know that you have to make a living, how did you go living and not just because la 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 I love to draw, but well it's relevant. But how did you say, listen, I am going to make money out of designing homes or building?
For me, it was more like following the trend. I believe I also specialize in interior design. I think it's relatively new in Ghana. The way I saw it was like a few years ago, an architect designs a house, and then we leave it to maybe a wife to do the interiors and not a real professional, right? And now it's like I'm sorry, but that's kind of how I saw it, right? I didn't really see a lot of interior designers in Ghana, you know. But now, when I moved
Listen,
back to
that's a
Ghana,
low blow because my husband allowed me
no
to design
disrespect.
our home.
Yeah. But the way I saw it, like after I came to Ghana and was like Rhapsody at a crowd mall,
Yeah.
things had changed. And now people understand that when you buy a house at Trasacco for $800,000, don't leave it to a random person to design it. Because when you bring clients home to entertain, they're going to respect you for the environment in which you're in. You know, so I saw this niche that I jumped into, and it's been rewarding.
Did you have any, were there any competitors? I mean, Constance is blessed and lucky to have created her own. She's ahead, way ahead.
Yeah.
Even the competitors, I think, are kind of behind. You know, you would agree, right? Your competitors are behind. No, but Michael, for you,
Yes.
wouldn't it have been an industry where it would have been tough to make that money?
The way I see it, like a lot of the hospitality type projects, they're not giving architects because we don't really specialize in that field. So a lot of the hotels, restaurants, nightclubs are being designed by usually foreign architects, a lot of South African architects. And not to take away from them, they do a great job. But usually when they meet me and they see my work, like, oh wow, I mean, don't think this guy was hiding out there. So they're usually welcoming to what I have to offer.
Okay, Ibrahim, what about you? Are you making money? Be
Yes,
honest.
I do.
I know there's a representative of IRS here, so be careful. And how did you start doing that? How did you start converting this opportunity?
Okay, so I think for me, from the beginning, it wasn't actually about using my practice as a means to make money. I think I've always been interested in doing what I do, like exploring it in different forms and playing with different ideas and different techniques and all that. Yeah. Um, when I had the chance to do my MFA, that was when I started having certain like international recognition, and I sold a few works.
International recognition such as?
Such as having a residency at Gasworks in London, which is like a very important residency. and then being affiliated with the Tate Modern, and also having an exhibition at the Saatchi Gallery. Um, I think for me, it's always been more about what we can use what we have, like the opportunities we have, to contribute to the larger framework in terms of the practice within the country and also the continent as a whole. So.
You haven't told me how you make money. Oh, you don't want to say it here?
No, I don't. It's difficult to explain. I don't.
Please, a round of applause for technical hits. Okay?
So I think the way that I practice generally learns to be much more focused on the works that I make and then the processes that goes into it, the people that I work with, the relevance of the people that work with me in the studio and all. It's more or less about the concepts that I work with and then the implications of those things. So, and I also have a way of thinking about the arts practice. So it's very interesting when you were talking about the old blood and the new blood, because practicing from the beginning when I had a chance to go to art school, I felt that the older generation, there's a lot of things that it could have done which they couldn't do. So it's at a point it was a bit bitter for some of us because we kept on saying, oh, the older generation, blah blah blah. But I also feel that there's a lot of work that we can do. Yeah, and those things, it's left up to the artists to take up some roles because we're constantly talking about what's happening.
Hello. The devil is a liar. Well, if you are in my industry, you see worse things than this. ECG will go off in the middle of BB Bruce's song, and she wouldn't even see where she's going. But thankfully, it's fixed, right? You see where you're. Oh yeah. I love to be. Oh, sorry, is that you? All right. So now let's get back to the business. How many of you draw? Draw. I don't say paint. Yes, sir. Draw. How many of you paint? And how many of you would like to make money in your lifetime and not be known when you passed away? You. Because I'm going to ask a very important question. Yeah, pay attention. Okay. For the three of you, how do you give your work value? How do you give your work value such that anybody in this audience might walk to Accents and Arts, might walk to your firm, might walk to any gallery and know that, listen, how do you give your work value?
First and foremost, you must.
Hello. Yeah. Let's walk.
It's all about branding, and if you have a brand, I believe that already prices you. And placing value on your brand.
Potential client, I show what I've done before. And for the most part, like, okay, we're in Ghana now, how come you want to charge so much? But if you see your work as a piece of art, and not to be arrogant, but my work is not for everybody. You know, it's Bugatti. You know, not everybody should be driving a fancy car.
It's a Bugatti.
You know, I don't do affordable housing. I've done a few, but I do high-end design. So for those that can afford it, please come to design consultants.
Please, how many of you know what a Bugatti is? You know what a Bugatti is? You know, I don't know. You see pictures. Have you seen one before? Live? No. Ibrahim.
For me, I think it's basically about relevance and significance of the ideas.
Yeah. Just if it's relevant. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to allow 3 questions at this point, just so we can keep things moving. I will come into the audience to make sure your 3 questions are relevant questions. Please don't ask questions about the economy, lack of petrol. We're not here for that. Ask questions that will affect you, because when these 3 guys leave here, there are chances you're not going to meet them anymore. So three of you, 3 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions. Are you shy? You.
Yeah, my question has to do with the branding bit. How do you set up to brand as a young entrepreneur?
How do you start branding yourself as a young entrepreneur?
I don't think one begins to, brand themselves immediately, but you must have content. I've been working for 15 years. Over the years, I've built a pool of clients. I've done good work, so I have history. I can sit back and point at, projects that I've done. And once you have a big pool of very good work, then you know that that's the value of what you're bringing on board.
Okay,
and,
I like your answer as well, and Ibrahim as well.
Again, question again, I'm sorry.
It's the same.
How do
Sorry,
you brand?
he wants to know how to brand yourself as a young entrepreneur. So you've just started and you need to have a brand. How do you do that?
Okay, I think everybody's looking, especially in Ghana, for success overnight. For like 5 different firms, I still look young. I'm still young, but the thing is, I paid my dues. I believe I was always the last guy that left work. I was the only black guy most of the firms that I worked for, so I had to work double hard. But a lot of, I keep telling the people that work for me, if 5 o'clock, they back up, they want to go. They think they know. I'm not saying I'm still learning, but basically you have to pay your dues. And just by the way you carry yourself, we are all brands that we're walking around. What we wear, how we act, how we talk. People are always watching, and people want to trust you with the project. So you might say 1 or 2 things that might, go against you, but basically we're walking brands. That's the way I see it.
Right.
I don't really know how to respond to this question because the idea of an entrepreneur and a brand, I've never really been able to relate to it so much. Maybe I think about it in a different sense. Yeah. So for me, in terms of my practice in relation to other people, I think it's just a matter of understanding what you really want to do, and then just pushing those ideas, no matter what, because it involves a lot of risk taking. Because it's been almost a year since I made any money. I don't work for anyone. I've rejected almost all gallery representations. So it's maybe there are other questions that I'm much more focused on, or
No, but I understand that.
Yeah.
People like you are not to be understood. 2 more questions, please, before I go on with my questions. 2 more questions. If we don't have them, can I continue? Now, the biggest thing that young entrepreneurs, and I'm one of them, every year I start a new business. Right, Michelle? Because the one business that I started before would have been out of passion and out of creativity, and gosh, you wake up in the morning. Do you feel like that sometimes? You wake up in the morning, you're about to start a business you think nobody has done in Ghana. Correct? When you take all your money, dump it in it, then you realize that you are one of many. Have you gone through that before? How do you know that you stand out? How do you know that what you are doing, this business that you've started, constantly, although you said, there are no competitors, etc., we're still talking about Africa. By the way, not just Ghana. How do you know you stand out?
I mean, you stand out when people begin to tell you, oh, did you do this work? Or I saw your signature in this, this project and that project. And you know that there's something that makes you unique. you've developed a certain style. There's something peculiar about your work that makes you stand out from what everybody else is doing. Um, so I think that also motivates you to continue to be different. And I think being a creative person, that drives us, to continue being creative.
Michael, how do you ensure that you stand out?
Happening, I've been really humble. I was a honeysuckle and somebody told me, "Oh, is that you? I follow your work." I'm like, "What do you mean? I've done 3 projects in Ghana. How can you follow my work?" And he was able to name all of them, and I was taken aback.
Yeah.
Also, I did a project where at the opening, the owner kissed me on the forehead,
Oh.
and okay, calm down. I think it's a nice piece, but really that nice? So sometimes I don't know what to say. It's really humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Making sure that your work stands out.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with what Michael said. Yeah. Not exactly standing out, but at the same time, doing work that people actually, there's something peculiar about it, as Constance said, something that pokes people and they really want to do it. So
that's what it is. Michael, I like the thing of the person kissing your forehead. So what did you do afterwards? Were you like, "Oh, thank you," or like, "I want to kiss you back," or what?
I should have asked for more money then. But
too late.
Yeah, but it's really interesting when people really appreciate you for your work, and it's all about, for me, it's all about doing something really different, because I see there's a trend in Ghana. Everybody's copying, everybody's doing the same thing. So I've always wanted to be the guy anyway.
Yeah.
If everybody's building
square
buildings, I want to do something curved. If everybody's doing, and I hate to say this, people actually don't like this. I'm not a green architect. I don't strive to be green. I know I need to do good buildings to make them affordable, but for me, it's all about that bang. I want to get the magazine cover. Second place, the first lose. Is that what they say?
But Joe, nothing, Joe. He can hook it up. Time magazine. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? He doesn't need me. He doesn't need you.
I learned a lot from Joe.
Really? Joe, he can hook you up. He is free. Now. Oh, Nana. Of course. Second question.
Thanks, Anita. I wondered if the panelists could speak a bit about the ideology that drives their particular art.
So the ideologies that drive your art. Yeah? Are you ready for that answer? Nana likes English, so I knew you would need a few seconds to think about the answer. Thank you, Nana. Only you. But seriously, the ideologies.
I think as it relates to architecture, the basic principles that we've all learned: space and order, form follows function. But and then again, me being different, usually I do form first, and it has to work later. It has to be cool. It has to win an award, and then we get to make it work. So I'm not sure if I'm saying the right thing or giving the right advice, but it's all a bit different. Yeah.
Okay, from my work, the process of working is very, very important for me. I like taking a lot of risk. I like doing projects that do not bring any money most of the time, because I like people to engage with my work ordinarily. As compared to Michael, when he said that he doesn't make affordable housing, if I was an architect, maybe that's where I would have put my strength here. Because for me, the idea surrounding my work is the idea of commons. It's the idea that everything becomes very basic, they're fundamental. We shouldn't remove everything and put them in obscure or weird context. So basically, that's what motivates the kind of work I do, the choices I make, and decisions that I make in exhibiting my work. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm still pondering over the question. I don't think I like to be. Um, I like to do what motivates me, and I like to do what moves me. I have two sides to my business. I have the side that is my cash cow and makes me money, and then I have the side that allows me to do what I want, which is the creative side. So from the creative side, I just do what comes to me, and I'm not dictated, or I don't like to just do anything, because I think as a creative person, if you're working with ideology, then it doesn't make you a creative person, and I don't want to be contained. I want to do what comes to me and what moves me. Like it.
Yeah, I've heard all these, and I must commend you for very refreshing answers to the questions that have been asked. To hear Ibrahim quite state his lack of ideology is it's wonderful to hear. And to hear Michael say that into affordable housing, having been mayor of the city of Accra, I look at him and say, well, so you are the kind of guy who I didn't need in my administration. But what I want to say, I've been following Constance's career. And she hasn't mentioned it, but a lot of how things happen depends on luck and be at the right place at the right time. Constance began her fabricating career and coincided with the opening up of East Legon. East Legon was a result of all the remittance money, all these Ghanaians working two jobs in Silver Spring, Maryland, and Hamburg, and sending the money home to have their dream suburban bungalows built in East Legon. And they all wanted fancy gates and fancy balustrade. And she was there at the right time doing the kind of interior architecture which made these people feel good about themselves. And just by pursuing it, showing them that you didn't need to go to South Africa to have one, to order one there and have it built here. But it can be designed and built here. She created a brand, and much of East Legon developed because of Constance Sonica. I mean, for a young carpenter, she hasn't done battery. All right? So as much as I'm pleased with all these wonderful ideas, I wouldn't like my daughter to marry any of those guys here. But nevertheless, that's clear that there are other aspects to the whole creativity thing.
Well, gentlemen, if you are unmarried or unhitched, please don't look in his direction. And I know him very well. We have some security guys at the gates. You, Ibrahim. But thank you very much for that statement. And Constance, I didn't know you were so wealthy. I'll follow you home today. No, but ultimately, I joke laugh about money, but it's not about money. But money sustains life, and when you have money, at a point, you stop wondering where your next bill is going to be paid or how it is going to be paid. Does any of you feel at the point that you are too creative that you're not surviving? No, seriously, do you feel you're too creative that you're not surviving? Sorry? How to merge business and creativity. So you guys over here, you're very quiet. Why, are you tired? Should we have done this on a Saturday morning? So do you feel that you're, sorry, Nana. Absolutely. Do you feel that you're too creative, that you are hungry financially? I'm sorry?
I have the innovations. I design my own fabrics, but then sometimes when you want to bring it out, you don't get the motivation, and you don't get people to maybe help you out. So it seems sometimes you are restrained. Capital, you don't get the money to sometimes even forward what you have even done. So you need some money and motivation.
Are you making the money now?
I'm not making the money, I'm doing it on myself. I sometimes put it on, I give it to my friends and my sisters to wear so that I will just get the money. But I'm not getting the money.
They are still not paying. The brothers and sisters. But sorry, sir, come over here. My skirt, you can see it's tight. I can't walk all the way there. No, but we're on the issue of now. Don't forget the question. Are you going to eat? Okay, you can ask your question. Yes, sir. Your comment.
Good evening, everybody. What I think is, as I said, there's a line between creativity and business. There are people who don't create and they sell. There are people who sell, who create and they don't know how to sell. So I think that if you think you're creative, go and learn how to do business. Yeah.
Is that it? In your ear. That's your phone? It's creativity. New blood of today, huh, Joe? They don't know anything, huh? But then we come to the next question, and this is the last question before we take a music break from Didi. Now, and what I need for you, ladies and gentlemen, to do, you see, this is an interactive session. I didn't come to talk so that you listen, or that to walk so that you can see my nice outfit, by the way, in it. I came here because I believe that, like me, you're still asking questions. I'm turning 36 this year, and I'm still wondering if I shouldn't take that Barclays corporate communications job that has been offered to me every single year. Because apparently you get a free car, you get a house that Michael has designed, or if you're lucky, Joe has designed, you get fuel. You're laughing at me over there. It's not funny, it is true. But ultimately, you keep doing what you're doing because you believe in it. So the big question that I have for the big three is, at the point where you are very creative, now you've answered all my questions as to how you add value, how you become a brand. Great. You've answered the questions about, what you think about money, and that the money will come later. The middle, what's in the middle is you moving from being a creative person and migrating into becoming a businessman or a businesswoman, which ultimately is the end goal. How do you do that?
When I graduated from school, I knew that I studied sculpture. If I was going to make money and earn a living, I certainly wasn't going to do it sculpting in my backyard. And so I quickly realized that I needed to fuse my art into creative things that people could afford and make use of. So I went into functional creative pieces, like Antoinette was saying, decorative balustrating, gates, proofing. And at the time I entered business, a huge construction boom all of a sudden. 15 years ago, 16 years ago, most of my clients are middle income and high income bracket. People wanted nice things. The only people at the time doing ironmongery were the roadside artisans. So here I am coming in with a background from the university, and I understood what design and finish, and because of my experience in the industry, I understood what the industry was also looking for. So I managed to blend the two, and I went into business. At the same time, I have a creative side where I do just art for art's sake.
Okay. So if I can summarize what Constance is saying, it's making sure you are at the right place at the right time. And that if you happen to be creative and you happen to be at the right place, make it the right time by creating what the market is looking for. Correct? Michael, go on.
For me, growing up was one of two things. Either I become an architect or become an artist. My parents pushed me to become an architect because they felt I'll make a better living as an architect. But however, when I was in college and my father called me and said, "Oh, Upland Global is making a lot of money. How about the art that you're interested in?" But I think for me, I had some really good mentors in my life. Basically, anything you want to do in life, someone has done it before. So you can study the model and follow a few great people, see what they've done in their past, and try and achieve to be equal or better.
Okay, so great. So each and every one of us, as creative as we are, as unique as we are, ultimately you've got to make a living. So you must look at somebody who has come before you, who has succeeded, who has done something similar to what you are doing. And that's what everybody uses that word mentor. So how does that person take their creativity? How do they hone it? And how do they become successful? If you know who this person is, try to copy. Copying is not a bad thing. Copy what they've done so that you can ultimately, almost always, become successful as well. That's what you're saying, Michael. Ibrahim.
Yeah, so for me, when I was going back to school to do my MFA after the BFA.
What's the MFA after the BFA after the CFA?
The MFA is a Master of Fine Arts.
Oh,
yeah.
And the BFA?
So, Bachelor of Fine Arts.
There's no DFA? Go ahead. There's a DFA. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I had some family members and friends say, well, why don't you do business? Because you're a very good artist, and then you have to learn business so you can market the work that you do. Like a very good friend in the audience said that he thinks there's a line between art and creativity, and that you have to. So most of the time, I tend to quite disagree with that. I told them, okay, you know, the field that I find myself practicing in, there are a lot of holes and gaps that we want to fill, that we want to make this field very relevant. So in the future, parents can stop asking, telling their children, you don't have to become an artist. You know, for me, my father said, you have to become an artist. Yeah, so it's, although there was no artist in the family, but at least he had a certain sense about what we wanted to do. So I turned to think about it in quite a different sense, in terms of what the players that's in my field as an artist, purely as an artist and doing nothing else, what can we do to contribute to the larger framework? Yeah, so.
So do you rely on other people in your field so that you all just march on as an army?
Yes.
Is that how you function?
Yes, we function that way because we have the FCA, we have the University of Science and Technology as the Fine Arts Department, and then we also have institutions and other bodies that are very much interested in these kinds of discussions. So it's most of the time it's not very, very common because it's not very known, so people think it's quite obscure, but it's.
Okay, so what I'm getting from you is, if you happen, bless you, if you happen to be in an industry where you can identify with a group of people who do similar things, you can probably, you know, it's like a network. You can probably find out, you know, in your case, when it's the next exhibition, you know, which museum is looking for what. So essentially, I would say that it's sharing information that kind of gets you all discovered, if I may use that word. So if you're a singer, I mean, young lady over there, you're talking about making your own fabric, etc. I think you need to find that group. Don't go for the government union, please. Don't take you anywhere. But you need to find that creative group. Within the group, there is some information that may be shared, fashion shows, fashion weeks, etc. And hopefully you will be discovered. Give me your autograph so that one day when you're discovered, I'll go and sell it. Yes. Okay.
For the FCA,
FCA.
please tell us who FCA are.
So Atul,
my director is
your director of FCA. What is the FCA? What do you do, and where can we find you?
Thank you. My name is Ajua Amwa. I'm an artist, and together with us, we run the Foundation for Contemporary Art. So it's a network of artists, and it started in 2004. And the idea was to find a place where artists could go and meet and discuss things about what they're doing, their projects, and also a place where people can find artists when they come into the country. Because then it was difficult, you have to go to the galleries to meet artists, you know, but where can we meet artists? Where can we find where they are? So this was how the foundation was started. So it's an artist-run organization, and what happens is the artists meet, plan projects, you know, think about what kind of things they can do to promote their work, and then based on that, we run projects to push the work of the artists. As part of our activities, we also find that it's important to develop the content of the artists. We can have exhibitions all year round, you know, but what kind of things are we putting out there? So recently we've had a lot of interest in the development of the artist's work. And so we do a lot of public presentations, and we run professional development programs. So recently we collaborated with CCA, which is the Center for Contemporary Art in Lagos, and run by BC Silva. to run a 35-day residency for artists. And this is in Africa, it's not focused on Ghana. And so we run some of these projects to develop content. I like when Ibrahim keeps talking about, the kind of ideas he works with and the relevance of it, So I kind of believe that no matter what it is that we're doing, there's always something that is driving your work and is pushing your ideas. So there's always an ideology.
We consider as a distraction. You invite people like me to entertain. Entertaining is not a distraction. It is a gift. It is something you learn. It is something you're born with. It is something you nurture. It is something you develop. We spend months, hours, years learning it. In Europe and other parts of the world, you have institutions that teach you how to be on the professional stage. They call it the performing arts. I have been doing this for 43 years. I have to let you know that when I was invited here, it was just like a sudden thing. I was at Auntie Coco's creative industry workshop, where we talk about the things that we need to talk about to help our performing arts in Ghana. Help artists understand that it's not something you get up, go and stand on the stage, and then maybe they'll pay you something, look cute, and then if you're lucky, you find a producer somewhere with money and give you a chance. When we started doing this, I was barely 13 years old. My father was a diplomat. He was an ambassador. He was one of Ghana's finest ambassadors. I spent all my life traveling around the world. My parents brought me up in a culture where art, painting, poetry, knowing what the depth of understanding what makes a people, a society stand means. So when they noticed that their children had this natural gift, every time they had a reception, I would go to my mother and I say, "Can we perform? Can we perform?" And my mother would say, "8 o'clock, you're in bed." But okay, but I want to see what you're going to perform. So we would go to school and we would work diligently to make sure that every note, everything was in place. And we would perform it in front of my mother, this woman of substance. And she would have us stand up in front of all her diplomatic friends and sing our little song. And we would feel elated. Then she would say, "Now girls, it's time to go to bed." And we would go to bed. And one fine day, who was one of Ghana's GBC's directors. He was Ghana's director. Had a talent show in Ghana. I think it was one of the first talent shows in Ghana. And I walked up there and I said, "Can I sing a song?" And he said, "What do you do?" I said, "I sing." He said, "What are you going to sing?" I said, "I'll sing a song from Nat King Cole." He said, "You can sing Nat King Cole?" I said, "Yes, I can." And he said, "You see the man on the stage over there? He was called Ray Ellis." He said, "Go and stand on the stage there. Give him your key." I said, I don't know my key." He said, "Sing your song then." So I stood on the stage and I sang, "Answer me, oh my love. Just what sin have I been guilty of? Tell me how I came to lose your love." And this man looked at me and he said, "You sing that, how old are you?" And I said, "I'm 13. He said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is B.B. Brew." He said, "Who are your parents?" I said, "Chrissy Brew." He said, "They know you're here?" And I said, "No, they don't, and they're not going to say anything." And he said, "Okay, it'll be our secret. You want to surprise your parents?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "Okay, you come every day and you come and you rehearse." So I would come from French lessons with my sisters, this 13-year-old girl. We would cook any trick in the book to know that we could just say anything. You get us there. And then we would rehearse. And I got my aunts to get my parents to sit in front of the television that fatal day and listen to us perform. They didn't know what's happening. And all of a sudden, my father sees me singing, my mother singing, and they were like, they forgot that I was 13 and what was I doing in the first place. They were just proud. And my parents never stopped us from following our dreams. But we had to finish our education. The idea was, you finish your GCE A levels. If you want to go to the School of Performing Arts in Legon, fine. But GCE first. So I passed my GCE A levels. And I was 17 and too young to enter Legon. I had 1 year left. And during that time, I met Bumbaya, the fabulous Ghanaian group that went to London. Alfred Bannerman, Carrie Barnerman, Ben Jerry Telfer, who's here today. And these guys, thank you very much. Because we are talking about the arts, so let's talk about branding. I've been listening to a lot of these things. People see you on television and say, "I see you on television," but they don't know you have years of earned career. You're not just there because national contract and put me on that Ghana Airways plane before these boys got on it. And he said, "If you go there and it doesn't work, you come back. And don't forget, next year you are in Legon School of Performing Arts." I never got to Legon School. I got a better degree. I got 30 years of learning how to stand on a stage, a small stage, a big stage, work till 3 o'clock in the morning, not get paid, have managers and roadies and vocal coaches telling you, "Do this, turn like this, move like this, breathe like this." Oh yeah, we got our fair share of paying dues. Then you better come out here because there are a lot of people who are not out here right now who are not getting deserved. So when you're doing evenings like this, you must know that we have Ghanaians all over the world doing very worthy things. The young people that we nurture today, by the way, I run a center called New Morning Arts Cafe Theater in Tessa. We've been doing it for 7 years. We nurture young people. If I'm on television today, it's not because they just saw me. It's because they came and sought me out. Ben, please come here. I want you to come here. I'm not here because I'm wasting my time. I've got other things to do. This man was 25 years old when we boarded the flight. I do. I haven't forgotten the hours in the basement, the trips to all the universities all over Europe, singing with Benny King and Tina Turner. I haven't forgotten sitting in the speakeasy and talking to Ella Fitzgerald. I have not forgotten any of those things. look at me like a television character. I'm one of you. If you want to get far, start. If you want to brand your name, start. If you want to carry on, start. And maybe somebody somewhere will notice you. It's not about how much money you got, how many fancy clothes and fancy cars you got. It's about who are you. Ghana has to start to recognize what she has. Now I'm going to sing you a song that I wrote in 2000. I have recorded 6 albums in France. I have sold 5 million records. I'm known all over France and everywhere in the world that we speak French, and I am from Ghana. I carry a Ghanaian passport. I have carried it for 30 years, and they give me permanent residency anywhere I go. Young and you want to make it, you can. It's not easy. The road is rough. It's tough. There are never any easy games. But there's a lot of joy. So this song is called Feeling Good. And I hope you're ready to clap your hands because, you know, when I wrote it, I was sitting there with my musical director and he said, where'd you get this idea? And I had just had a big fight with my record company. I said, I don't want to follow your dreams anymore, I have mine. So this is my song. And if you don't mind, I'm going to record it. And I did. So this is another young Ghanaian artist. He works with us every morning. They're all doing their very best. They take my glass things daily. But I love them because they love what they do. And nobody spared me. Okay, so this is how it goes. You know something? I'm in my mind, I'm far away. No worries have I got. Pictures and thinking about you. Daydreaming feels so good. Think of all the time I've got to wanna be with you all through the day. Picturing things about you. Daydreaming feels so good. No mixed emotions, baby. It's getting really clear to see. Deep introspection. Introducing love to me, sweet inspiration. Yeah, got to be the things you do. A little bit fantasy, bringing out the best in me. Feeling good is part of the reasons we carry on. Yeah. And feeling good makes all the difference for reasons we carry on. There's nothing wrong. Hey, cause I'm in my mind, I'm far away. No worries have I got. Pictures thinking about you. Daydreaming feels so good. Think of all the time I've got to wanna be with you all through the day. Picturing things about you. Daydreaming good. You see all these mixed emotions, baby. Getting really, really clear to see. Deep introspection. Introducing love to me. Sweet inspiration, you need it. Got to be the things you do. A little bit of fantasy. Bringing out the best in me. Feeling good is hard. The reasons I carry on. Yeah, you know that feeling good makes so much difference for reasons I carry on. There's nothing wrong. So concert, and I know I'm not using the right microphone, and I know that I'm not singing with the right band, but my heart, my spirit is here with you. Feeling good. Let's I can't be on. I gotta say goodbye to you because tomorrow morning I got a flight at 5 a.m. in the morning, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking of my little bed and I'm trying to see whether I can make it there in time to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and pack my bags and thank you very much.
Oh, so do you doubt now that you're in the right place doing the right thing? You say Jesus, huh? Sure. Oh, okay. Now we have about 15 or 20 minutes to round this off. I know that some of you will still have to go to your, forgive me, regular jobs tomorrow, because I know you are still trying to earn a living. Some of you probably have some things to deliver to clients tomorrow. Yeah? But then it brings me to the last part. The line that divides, I'm creative, so I need my time to create. And I'm creative, I'm a business person, so I must deliver on time. Learning how to migrate from just knowing what you do to knowing what you have to do to ensure that you're respected as an artist. My three panelists, big question. At what point do you get people to respect you, both as an artist and a business person? 1, 2.
I believe when you start turning them down and saying no, basically, I have a bad habit of, depending on where I am in my life, I might say yes to the wrong amount of money. When it's getting to the end of the month, sometimes you say yes because you need to pay employees. But sometimes it's hard, you just can't let it go for that little, for a little bit of money. So in order to get respect, you have to give respect. And one thing I always say is, when a client is interviewing me for a job, I'm also interviewing them back to see if I want to do the job. We don't always have to accept everything that comes our way. Because sometimes when the big job comes, you're locked with that small little job. So I think respect is earned over time.
Constance.
I agree a little with what Michael is saying, and when you place value on what you do, it shows also, and being very disciplined as well, for me, has been a key factor to the way I approach my business. You just have to be very principled as well. When you believe in something, you stick to it, and sometimes you have clients who try and twist and for selfish reasons, but that this is, you do things a certain way. When you stick to what you believe in, they respect you for that. And Michael thinks you don't let them, see what you have to offer. They would belittle you, and that devalues, the sort of work you do. Yeah.
Abraham.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was going to say something I quite forgot. Yeah, but I think concerning what he said, this idea about creating value, the current installation in Jamestown, the one I showed at the Charity Festival, actually I had a collector wanting to purchase the work for several hundred thousands of pounds, but I denied because I felt that no, because it's a very difficult decision to make with these things, yeah, because as I spoke about in the beginning, that I have a certain world vision about how we want to project or how we want to look at the art. And for me, when I make work, it's about making the work and enjoying the process of making the work. And I've always also thought about making work and then keeping the work, or how can we also build institutions with the works that we have and then like rewrite the narratives. So the idea of giving it out in a way contradicts this ideas. So Chalwete is very significant in terms of people just coming together with little support and then creating this whole idea of art an art festival where ordinary people can just enjoy art on a basic level. So I thought that was much more important in that light. So for people to experience a work of art that has taken over a year and a half to make, and then so it's quite a different perspective. But I think it's also interesting to look at things from that point because then we can begin to actually understand that there are some things that we really need to pay attention to and then look at closely.
So like Bibi said, sometimes ultimately it's not just about the money, but also about what it is that you believe in. Do I have any questions for my panelists? Okay, then just hang on a second. Michelle first.
Okay, but you didn't answer part of her question about delivering on time. I'm a writer, which is, I guess, another art form. I have deadlines. And I've found that since I've been in Ghana, that there's a world of distractions. I can be distracted every day from doing what I have to do in order to make my deadline. But that's an aside. But I think it's an important question you have to answer that she asked. But I was going to ask, you said something about interviewing your clients. And I was going to ask, who are your clients? How do you select your clients? And how do you not allow them to compromise what you do? Because a lot of times when we are thinking about eating, and people start dictating to us what we should do, and we know who we are in our art form, the temptation is always there to compromise in order to make people happy who are paying us.
Okay, for me, it's all part of getting experience and growing up. I've been in business professionally by myself for just 4 years now, so I'm still very young in this industry. And initially, I was impressed with big talk and big cars. I have clients show up in my office with Bentley, and then there are a lot of big talk, and next thing I know, I start working on the project. I have a few principles now: cash first or no movement. You're not getting a sketch from me unless you're a friend or family. Sorry. Every now and then, I do slip and I do it, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done it. You know, I still get caught every now and then. You know, but the interview process it's not just about how the client looks, or you can't just look at somebody and say, okay, they are gonna. The fact that they can afford it doesn't mean they'll pay. For the most part, the average, when you size somebody up, the average looking client, those are the ones that pay. A lot of people are rich, and they're rich for a reason.
Okay, sorry, Constance, just before you answer that, a big thank you to you, Miss BB. Miss BB. Sorry, so what did you say?
Nothing. I said my name is Miss Phoebe.
Thank you very much for coming through. And we know you're a very busy woman, and I'm going to take your autograph eventually because I have a feeling next year Grammys will be there. So I want to have it just in case you and Beyonce may have a duet just in case.
Oh no, don't take me that.
Thank you so much. Thank you too.
And you're doing well too.
We want to be just like you when I grow up. Okay, come to good.
Michelle, that was very comment that she just made. You have clients who come to you and sometimes they just, you just disrespect alone. I do good work, and so that's why you came to me. So don't, exactly. Otherwise, then go to the wayside guy who understands the sort of language that you're speaking. But I think, it's up to us to draw the line. And I, over the years, have developed this emotional intelligence. As you're speaking, I have checked you out already. And now I decide, like Michael saying, whether I want to do your work or not. You can offer me what amount of money, but if I think that you don't value my work and you're going to speak to me in a certain way, or you try to get me to do something that is beyond what I do, I think as creative people we have to learn how to draw the line and don't devalue your brand or yourself, because then they don't deserve to have your work in the first place.
I think concerning your question of her question of the meeting deadlines, I mostly tend to work on projects. Yeah, that's what my practice is about. So I meet my own deadline. Yeah, I don't work for anyone. I work on my own terms. I work with people who understand my work and understand the relevance of it. So I don't compromise at any point. Um, for me, sometimes I take it too seriously because I think we came to meet a certain vibe that we wanted to contribute to significantly in a way. So I think that's what actually really pushed me in terms of what I did, like some of the decisions that I take. Because when I was talking about the chaluti, I have I had been working on that project for quite some time, So when the crowd all spoke about the next charlotte, I was like, okay, why don't I show this work there? Because I think that the ideas that I'm working with is similar to the ideas that you're working with. So when a collector comes in and says, I can offer you so and so amount of money for this work. I'm like, no, because at the end of the day, it's going to compromise the whole idea. And I'm thinking about it in a further term in terms of when I make work, I think about young people, I think about my generation, I think about institutions, I think about art becoming very common, I think about things ordinarily. So mostly when you see my work, it's not something that actually attracts you. It's something that's in a way will piss you off, like what's crap. And then in a way, what's crap, the destructive nature of things, I think is something that we ought to pay attention to because things accumulate a certain value over time. It deals with symbols and other things. So I think it's a kind of different language.
Yeah, completely different language. Yes. One last question before we wrap up, please. I'm probably. Oh, guys, come on. I said one last question. Why are there 3 hands up? Okay, 3 last questions. I'll go to you first, Andy.
All right, my question is for Ibrahim, because I think all the folks that are here, I actually understand you a lot, in not wanting to compromise what you're doing. I actually love what I'm seeing, so I'm even this one. This was really amazing to me. It's like my neighborhood. And you use the mundane, use trash, and you make it treasure. And that's an amazing thing. That's to me a God-given talent. How can I take young people to see you? Where can they see you? I think my question is, you're saying your art is for the young people. Okay, so besides the installation that you did at Chalawate, where can my young people who comprise maybe about 30,000 of them, where can we come and see you to be inspired by you?
I have a small studio from which I work in at home. It's in Kokumlimle, around what's the name? Caprice area where they had the phone run. Yeah, yeah. So I make other forms of work. It takes different forms, but this is like the most popular one. The size and how it deals with the And the other picture you saw was just an open space in my house. Yeah, where I work with the migrants from the Kais and stuff, and those things. Those were the things that I was talking about in terms of the relevance of the work. So that's what my work is about. So the other thing you see is just what's that?
Okay. I want to find out 2 things from all 3 of you. Because even if you're an architect, I believe you're an artist in a sense. An artist, then, how does your work feed off other art forms? And then the element of critique. What role does it play in what you do? To what extent do you have an authority over what you do? To what extent are you the best critic of your work? What role does it play in your line of work, and how does your work feed off other art forms? I'd like to especially hear from the architect. That's a really interesting question because I specialize in hospitality and architecture. And the difference is when you're designing a house for somebody, I'm designing a house for you and your wife. If you want a red door, I'll give you a red door. It's your business. When I'm designing a restaurant, if you, the owner might not necessarily be the end user. So I'm designing a restaurant for 20,000 people from different cultures, different backgrounds. So although you are paying me, I do what I think is best. So sometimes I have to fight to the client to let them know, okay, not to be arrogant, not to be rude, but I think I know more about the subject matter than you do. Your wife is not going to put a chandelier here. No, it's not going to happen. You know, and sometimes those are the fights that I have. Sorry about the wife reference every now and then. Yeah, but
You must not be married. Doing it.
yeah, but it happens quite a bit. You know, I'm working on a project, and then the client brings the wife, and she tries to change the whole thing at the very last second. You know.
Why are you looking at me?
Oh, you have to meet my office here. Hopefully, I see you next week. I hope I answered the question. Okay, the second part was.
How does your work feed off other artists?
Okay.
Yeah.
Art
form, sorry.
Okay, so for example, there's I think if I get your name right, Samoa, sculptor back there on the Casino Royale project. Engaged with him and he did a sculpture. He did some really amazing work for it. There's also an artist that works in my office. We did a branding, we did a logo. We actually designed the casino chips that I use. So I'd like to collaborate with other artists, especially since I'm not a specialist in that field. I'd like to get people who know more. And I've been trying to work with Constance. Hopefully, the next project to work together.
I'm sure if you pay her, she'll do it.
I can say.
Give her a check right now. Constance.
Interesting question as well. Critique. I think as a creative person, we're our biggest critic. And the minute you create a piece, you think, why a piece like that?
Yeah.
I mean, the minute it comes out of you, it's not exciting anymore. And you're looking forward to doing the next, piece of work. And sometimes you have clients who are very creative as well, and they're able to point out things to you that you also didn't see. And that also helps you when you're creating the next piece, too. And I think when we were speaking earlier on, to be a creative person, you have to be very humble. This is a God-given talent. It comes free. And arrogance. And it just doesn't go with being creative. No, it doesn't work at all. And you have to be open to ideas to get it back in before you can bring it out again.
Absolutely, makes a lot of sense. Ibrahim.
For me, I think of I draw inspiration from common things. So my clients, I will say, are mostly people in just ordinary spaces, like in a market space or maybe in an architectural structure just in the middle of the city or something, because I've worked with a lot of these things as projects. And in a way, it's interesting for me to be able to have maybe an extended vision of my work, like thinking about art as an extension of the very traditional form of sitting down to make something by yourself throughout the process. So I like to work with people, have dialogues with them, understand what they do every day, what goes into their everyday life, the kind of works that they do, and then how they transfer those things into the making of the objects, if you like, the things that the physical manifestations of my work. Yeah, so I think those things are the things that, in a way, seems to drive, this kind of thing. Yeah, and his question about other art forms. Those arts are the everyday jobs, like the labor and all that. I think about them within that sense. So
You think of them as art.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We have one last question and we go home. My dear, I've been up since 3 a.m.
Hello. I have a question for Ibrahim. Ibra, much earlier in the conversation, you said when you were asked about how people receive your work, you mentioned that it's going to grow on people. It takes time for people to see this type of work that you're making. But just a bit earlier, you said also that when you're creating, you think about institutions, you think about your own generation, young people, but you also intend art to become commonplace, right? So my question is, how do you adjudicate, you know, a current situation where the reception of your work is not, your practice, just by the material and how you're working with it and what you're dealing with, it hasn't resonated, but you look at what you're doing to be, or the intention to become common in, how you express your ideas and your art. How are you working these two? Because it seems like a divide. And if it is, who are you creating for? Are you targeting a local audience, or are you speaking to a different kind of audience? And how are you, dealing with all of these issues just by your work and your practice? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's a very important question that you asked. Talking about value in the first place, and I was talking about the idea of the artist taking up multiple roles. For me, it becomes important at the end of the day, since I'm thinking about working in a certain sense that will change the course of practice within, let's say, a certain generation. So when I earn money from my work, actually, I'm working on a project. It's more or less like an institution project, whereby the artist thinks of his work as an extension. So it's not just a matter of making. Even the materials that I take, the people that I work with, the labor that goes into it, the forms that the work manifests in, the institutions that are already established, that all is, and then the gains that comes back from it. That's in terms of funding and all that. How do those fundings become relevant? Is it about spending it on the production of more work and earning more money and spending it on yourself as an individual, or is it about channeling it into maybe a cultural space whereby people can, maybe generations can engage or ask maybe newer questions about the relevance of society and why certain things are the way they are. So I think in making work, some of these things are the ideas that I play with. So it doesn't just become something that you produce that people would engage with, whether it is a local audience or international audience. Also, you're thinking about how that phenomenon, in terms of the work that you make, also in a way contributes to the larger pool. So at least artists, writers, non-artists can become more conscious through just the simple idea of a work. I think sometimes it tends to be quite political in terms of what it can mean or its implication. But I think the implications are the most important parts that we should focus on.
Well, our three panelists have touched on a few very interesting points. And if I may summarize and correct them, one of the first things that sticks out in my mind is not to compromise on your creativity. I mean, if you are an artist, a singer, a fashion designer, an architect, what else? A hairdresser, because that's a form of art as well. Not to compromise on it, because as Constance says, it's a God-given talent. I always say that there are many millions of people on this planet, but only a few are actually chosen to carry the torch. And these few are the ones that have talent that nobody else is able to have. But your responsibility, if you have that talent, is to hone it and to make sure that you are applauded for it. But as you do that, also to share the wisdom that you have, because there are other millions of people who may not be as talented as you. If, Michael, what you said is correct, you also have to learn to be selective. No, only expensive. But what I got out of that is it is okay to select whom you will work with, whom you will work for, what you will work with, what you will accept. It is very okay to do that, Michael. Am I getting that correct? For the most part. And then what I gather from all three of them is, I don't think you guys were made in a day. I don't suddenly you started work and then the next day you became superstars, or the next day, Ibrahim, you were this global icon, or Constance, or Michael. I think what I gather from all of them is, it is okay to work and work and work for years before hopefully you are discovered. So perhaps the fact that you're an artist and you're a culturalist and you started only 6 months ago and you haven't made your first haute couture outfits is not so bad. It just means that you need a little bit of time to understand what the market is looking for and adapt your creativity to fit the demand. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to go out to the poolside for the nightclub session? That's not as good as it. Then this is it? Oh, now we're going home after this. But on a more serious note, we will do this again and again and again till one day we can look back and call ourselves old blood and call our children new blood. Thank you very much.
Anita, thank you very, very much indeed. Michael, inspiring, Constance, Ibrahim. No. No, energetic. Really admire all this. But I think that the original theme of this evening was it's called Ghana and Wealth, recognizing talent. And one of our sponsors who just arrived, who's the CEO of Butler Limited, and Mr. Baba is here. And Baba is a great collector of folk art. And I just want Baba to share with us why I've been to his office, his gallery, his home, and he's just got artifacts everywhere. Baba, what inspires you? Please come, Baba. And thanks for the little dog for this book. My dear friend, tell us a little about what inspires you to keep like you've been doing this for 40 years. Tell us how you started and how you pick this out.
Good evening, everybody. Well, like you've been talking about art, to support them. If you don't collect them, you're not supporting them. You know, if you talk about art and architecture and you don't collect, you're not cultivate the habit of collecting. That's of next generation to come, they cannot do that. This was there. Well, I think art is life. For me, art is life. I see everything as art. You want art. Everybody, everything art. And that's how I got into collecting. And maybe one day I'll do a show for me to see. So I encourage everybody to supplement this collect.
Thank you very much. And it's really about being very pragmatic about what we're trying to achieve. Recognize that we have talent, all of us. And so the next event, and that's what we do here at the Adventures of Diaspora, to recognize new young talent, the old talents alike. So next month, we do this every month, the last Thursday of every month. So we're going to I don't know what the topic is yet. Maybe Michelle will give us a great topic, but it'll be something relevant and even more so poignant. Thanks to the AID team, Julie, my lovely wife is here. She does all this with Mawanya. I'm always proud of Mawanya. But Atua, by the way, Atua, Amos painting is this lovely piece that she delivered to us. Atua, thank you very much again. What we try to do with every invitation is to have an artist's work on it, and then we recognize it. So Atua, thank you very much indeed. Atua, the team at Golden to the Pretty Blanks and all. Thanks very much indeed, and we'll see you in exactly 30 days. Thank you very much. Have a great one.